Let's make a witch's salve. In particular today, I am going to make witch's flight salve. So this is part of something that I use when I am making divination salves to do actual witch's flight. It's a combination of this salve and smoking a particular herb bundle. But today I'm going to share making the salve. So the first thing we're going to do is use our trusty pot that is used for anything with candle making or making the salves. So this is a pot that I have that I use just for these crafting purposes. I'm going to add some water in it so I can create that bath that I'm going to have the pitcher set in to regulate and maintain the right temperature that I'm looking for to make the salve. So the big thing is you should be able to touch the pitcher on the inside and notice that it's hot, but not so hot that you cannot touch it. The one thing that we don't want is to boil or to burn the salve solution. We want to make sure that it's just at a melting temperature, and that way the oils and all the things that we're going to add into it don't become damaged or changed due to the temperature. Okay, so here's everything I need. My lavender. This is just a generic brand of lavender that I have been getting for years now. I really like the smell. This is from a local witch. It is hemp seed oil that they create, and I ordered this on Etsy. The other thing that I'm going to get here is pure 100% amber. Amber is the perfect smell and oil for grounding. And then this is a homemade brew of mugwort. I'm repurposing a bottle, and that's why it returned around. But this is mugwort that has been sitting for 6 months and in olive oil. Okay, so these are the oils that I'm going to use. Okay, so the other things are, for skin, I use the rose hip oil. So it's just a seed oil, and this is a really good solution for blending out the beeswax. The other thing that I really love using is coconut oil. I know a lot of people use different oils. I like coconut oil. It works really well with the rosehip oil, and then vitamin E. So vitamin E is mostly just for like skin conditioning, and it's just a really good thing to add into anything you put on your skin. So this is my solution that I use for Witch's Flight Salve. It's very simple, and as I said, this is the ingredients that go with the salve that I also use within our bundle. Okay, so back to our heating pot. So the pitcher is now warm enough that I can touch it, but it is hot. I'm not going to leave my fingers on it. So this is a lot of beeswax, but I'm going to be making a lot of these little jars because I'm going to be giving them out for holiday gifts. So I put the beeswax in there, and I'm going to go ahead and let it just slowly melt. I'm going to leave it alone and just let it do what it needs to do. This is going to be a very slow melt. It's going to take quite a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and speed up the time and we can watch it melt down. So as it's doing that really quickly, I just wanted to say, but Witch's Flight is a salve of dream divination. It is something that allows us to connect with our inner thoughts, our inner knowing, the things that we hide from, and allows us to see who we truly are, through and through. With that, there are many, many different levels of things that witches have used Witch's Flight for. I know it's kind of infamous. It has a really weird ingredients. If you look it online, that is creepy and has been used in Hollywood movies, and that is not what this is. But I use this for multiple reasons. To handle my PTSD. Yes, I've been formally diagnosed with PTSD because I am a domestic abuse survivor. It helps me sleep, it helps me through the night terrors, and it helps me on days where I'm just having a difficult time with my day-to-day. But read on it before you do it. Understand what it is that you're getting into. Don't just jump into Witch's Flight because it sounds cool. It's kind of a hefty thing of truth seeking, of seeing who you truly are. I have one friend that referred to it the dark night of the soul. If you are hiding from a lot of things, things in yourself, like say you have a lot of skeletons in the closet or something like that. But be very mindful, be very conscious about what it is that you are seeking to achieve when doing any kind of witch's flight divinations, dream divinations, or any kind of shadow work, really. I'm always an advocate for like working with a therapist to help us like understand some of the things, just someone who has like a deeper wisdom in that particular art skill of therapy. So this is pretty well melted down now. You can see that it's just some, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the vitamin E oil now. I find that vitamin E is just a thicker oil, and I like to add it first and let that go ahead and melt down with the beeswax and get that blend in there. So we're now going to add the rosehip oil. Not as much as that. A little bit of rosehip goes a long way. And now let's add that coconut oil. So this is kind of half a batch that I'm showing on the video right now, with the comparison of the beeswax oil. I'm kind of going to do some magical editing with the videos here, but you can see how all of this is now melting. So you see how when I added the oils in it, it actually solidified a little bit. And so we're going to go ahead and let that melt down again and be very well blended. So we are now at the place where everything is well melted down. There's just some little bits and pieces of the oil that you can see in the pot that is still melting, but what we need to do now is remove it from the heat. Let me move the camera over. Excuse my messy kitchen. And then we're going to go ahead and allow a trial to see how thick or thin the solution is. So you're going to want to use, well, I use a wooden spoon because I don't want to introduce any kind of metals, which is going to have a drastically different temperature than the oil itself. A wood spoon maintains its own temperature better than metals. So I'm going to put just a little bit of the beeswax solution in the spoon and see how long it takes to become solid, and then also what is the texture of this solution. So this can take a few minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and edit a little bit. Okay, so I can move it around and it's not coming out of the spoon, but as you can see, it's still liquidy underneath that top layer. So it gives you an idea. Okay, so this is actually the perfect solution of where I want it to be. I want this to be firm enough that it's going to take a long time to go through the jar, but not to where it's so soft that I can push my finger into it when it is fully dry and solid. As you can see on this top portion up here, it is much more firm. And that is what I am looking for. So whenever you make a solve, it's going to be a personal preference on how firm, how soft you want it. Like, do you want it almost like a lotion? Do you want it to be really firm like a bar soap? It's really up to you on how much you want to do, and it's a variation of a little this, a little of that. I don't have measurements. Maybe in the editing, if I remember, I'll add in some kind of measurements. Okay, so my wax solution with the carrier oils of rosehip oil, vitamin E oil, and coconut oil are now all nicely blended in my pitcher, as you can see. So now I'm going to add the agar-agar, which I have been making myself. This is at the bottom of the jar, so there is some residue. I'm just going to try and put just the oil in there. And in my experience, having a little bit of those herb residue in it is perfectly fine. It might settle to the bottom of the jars, but for me personally, it doesn't bother me at all. I have perfectly fine solutions. Okay, and now we're going to add the lavender. I tend to add 4 1 milligram measurements to this. So then 4 milligrams. And now the hemp seed oil. So there's different kinds of hemp or marijuana varieties that you can get. It is made by one person in their own garden, and they actually distill it themselves. So to me, it makes it a better product. And then we're going to add the amber. So this bottle of amber is brand new, so I'm going to go ahead and take off the lid and add the Doppler to it, just right here on camera. So amber is excellent for grounding. It is all amber, true amber, is at least 30,000 years old for it to be actually amber. And so, in my opinion, the best kind of grounding that you can get is from amber. It also has that very earthy and magical smell for me personally that I absolutely love. And when I'm using it in a witch's flight solution, it really does help me stay grounded in who I am, but also to like my reality. So I don't have any like disassociation problems or anything like that. So let's go ahead now over to the dream magic of mugwort. So we all know mugwort is a really powerful dream divination. It is deeply rooted in witchcraft through Hecate, but also through many other witchcraft witches, as it is an herb that is seen predominantly around the world from what I understand. Some of my studies about it it's very vast. Okay, so I did add quite a bit of my own personal mugwort solution there, and those herbs are from my own garden, so I had that added element of the growing relationship with that plant. Okay, so let's stir this all up. I'm going clockwise because I'm creating, and I of course am going to put a lot of focus into this blend on what it is that I'm seeking to achieve with it. So I'm looking at the relaxation, I'm looking at the dream divination, I'm looking at unconditional love and to see self-true and all of those good things. Okay, so today I'm just gonna pour out 4. I think this one actually, I'm gonna pour out 2. Actually, I think this one's gonna fit 4, but for right now, for the video, I did just pull over 2 of them right now. So there's 1. And let's do our second one. Okay, so we want to fill it up almost to the top. We want to make sure that there is some breathing room when you have the lid on so it doesn't create too much of a suction. Let me go over and get just 2 more just for the purpose of this solution. I don't want to have to melt it down again. Okay, so here's our 4. One of my favorite things to do is watching this become solid, and so I'm going to just kind of set my camera up and just record it going solid for you. If you're fascinated with that, then by all means enjoy, and if not, go ahead and do the timestamp to jump forward to when it's all solid. Okay, so there we go. A very sweet, very easy solve to make. It's like beginner level. The ingredients can become a little costly, particularly the amber and the mugwort, I think, can be a little costly if you're making it yourself. But as you see, those jars last quite a long time. You can get a lot out of them because you don't need a whole bunch to make the solve. So the solve, as I was saying earlier, this particular blend, this particular recipe is my own personal witch's flight solve. I'm using it because I want to focus on dream divination. I want to focus on relaxation of any tension, any fears, any anxieties that my body is holding on to. I want to focus on grounding, on healing, on doing a lot of that self-work, a lot of that shadow work. And as I've said a couple times, if I want to use it in true traditional witch's flight, this is the solution that I will that I will use on my body, particularly in high pulse areas, at my wrist, at my ankles, behind my ears, places on my body that I want this to come in, as I'm also going to like smoke some kind of an herbal blend into the space, but also for myself. I can also use gummies. I can use all kinds of things if I want to have a true witch's flight, of which I will dive into in a future video. So there we go, my witch's salve. So thanks for spending a few moments of your day with me. If you make this salve yourself, I would love to hear about it in the comments below, or any other kind of witch's flight salves that you might have used. I love hearing about things like this. Hopefully you're having a beautiful day or night wherever you are, and happy witching.